Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Allen, and welcome to this week's webinar presented by International Security Training. Today's topic is going to be staying fit, and I'm talking about health, fitness, strength, cardiovascular, cardiorespiratory, all of those sorts of things. So, without waiting any longer, let's get started. Today's objectives, and we're going to have three objectives. The first thing is commit to a no excuses mentality. So we'll talk about that. We're going to look at eating plans, and we're going to discuss them and how they differ from diets. And then we're going to talk about portable equipment, because let's face it, 99% of the people listening to this webinar are either executive protection agents, they're nightclub security personnel. And that means your bodyguards and your bouncers, your casino security personnel, and that means we're on the move a lot, we're on our feet a lot, and portable equipment is the way to go for most people, especially if you're in the protective services industry overseas doing private security, things like that. You don't have a gym to go to. So, focusing on the no excuses objective, things that I hear a lot are the following. Either somebody says they have no time, they work too much, we're working 12-hour shifts, no days off, we can't afford a gym membership, or a gym isn't in the location that we were at. Or how about this one? This is one of my favorite ones. Hey, I carry a gun. I don't need to work out. I'm not going to fight anybody. I'm not going to run after them. I'm going to shoot them. That's very elementary types of thinking, especially the I carry the gun one, because there is and should always be an escalation a force continuum, and things of that nature. So, things I would like to suggest. Okay, I can't force anybody to do anything, but I do have these suggestions. First of all, make time. 20 minutes a day minimum. Okay, we're talking about your health. And the second thing is eat for health first, then for taste. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit more, but that is a big change for most of us, especially if you're like me and you like cheeseburgers and you're not afraid of Dairy Queen. So that was a big thing for me to a big hurdle, I guess, for myself to jump over. Thirdly, health and fitness is more than about fighting. So that's going to nullify this objection right here. Health and fitness is about, obviously, strength, flexibility, cardiorespiratory efficiency, okay? It is about protecting yourself or your client, but that's a piece of it. Beyond that is keeping your heart healthy, keeping your brain healthy, keeping your circulatory system, your lymphatic system, keeping anything healthy, so that way when you do get ill or you do get injured, you recover faster. Secondly, so if those things happen to you, you get sick or you get injured, your family doesn't have to bear the burden for as long of a time as if you had not been taking care of yourself. So when you start thinking of it that way, just think, I know bad things are going to happen to me health-wise sometimes. I can't prevent it all the time. But if these things do happen to me, I want to recover faster. So let's talk about that. And then I want your mindset to be like that of a special operator. Okay? The people that I work with and my students, an idea that I try to impress upon them is, don't think like a minimum standard military, law enforcement, or bodyguard individual. We're not about minimum standards here, okay? I know that all of us know a guy who's been smoking and drinking for 40 years and is still running around without a problem. I know there's people out there that have survived 3 heart attacks, and they're still smoking and drinking. Some people say, hey, I did all the working out I need to do in the military. Now I'm going to live life a little bit easier. Okay, fine, but that's not an elite warrior's mentality. And that is what I want to suggest to all of you. Moving on to the eating plan, remember that, health, fitness, and strength and weight control are a science. We can achieve our goals if we study, try a method, document the results, and then make adjustments, okay? Now, am I ever going to be 6'2", 270 pounds and as strong as Brock Lesnar? No, I'm not. But I can be as strong and as fit as a guy who's 5'11", 6 foot, 200 pounds can be. All right, so obviously I want to look at reality, but then I want to know that there is a science behind things, and even if I have diabetes, I have a heart condition, I have a digestive problem, there are so many people out there with all these issues that are in the gym and making things happen. Okay, why? Because they studied health and nutrition and fitness. They're trying things every day. They're documenting and they're making adjustments. And they have the right mindset. Speaking of the science, know how many calories you must eat in order to do one of the following three things: to gain, lose, or maintain weight. Some people need to gain weight and strength. Some people are plenty strong, but they need to lose weight to increase the health of their heart and other body systems. Some people just want to maintain weight, and maybe they've been doing that kind of, in a lucky fashion. They are unconsciously competent. They're doing the right thing. They have good health, but they have no idea why. So what we need to do is make sure that all of us know how many calories that we must eat to do those things, okay? What you do then is you divide the amount of calories you need on a daily basis by the number of meals you're eating. Okay, if you're going to have 3 meals a day, you'll divide that by 3. If you're going to have 6 meals a day, divide it by 6. One example you can look at is, somebody who's a 200-pound male with moderate physical activity is going to need 3,000 calories a day on average, okay? If he or she wants to eat 6, and hopefully it's a he at 200 pounds, right? If they're going to have 6 meals a day, that's 500 calories per meal, okay? This is an important thing to know. One of my cheat foods is the Mrs. Freshly's honey bun, all right? One of those honey buns has 500 calories. So if I grab one of those and eat it during the day, guess what I just did? I just knocked off one of my meals. So I can still eat 5 meals, but since I had a honey bun, that's my 6. And that's going to be my 3,000 calories for the day. Okay? It's not great calories either, was it, that honey bun? But I still am going to maintain no more than 3,000 calories a day. Okay? The way you can find out how many calories you need for your height, weight, age, your activity levels is go to Google or any search engine of your choice and do a search for calorie calculator. And you will find a bunch of them and kind of figure out where you should be. All right? And, wrapping up the eating plan section, I want you guys to begin with easy steps. Remember that eating plan is different than a diet. An eating plan is something we're going to do for the rest of our lives. A diet is something we start, we end, and it's a little bit faddish in nature, and most of the time they're not very successful. Okay? What I suggest is adding one good eating habit per week. Again, thinking easy steps. Okay? So let's say, for example, let's look at a month, okay? We're going to look at week number 1. Add a vegetable and fruit blender drink to your daily diet, okay? I'm not asking you to stop drinking, liquor yet, stop drinking alcohol, sodas, quit eating cookies and cakes. All I want you to do is add one thing to your daily habits, and that is adding a vegetable and fruit blender drink. Blending drinks is a little bit easier and different than juicing. Juicers tend to separate the fibrous parts from the juice. Well, the fibrous parts have a lot of nutrition. Okay, so I want you to blend them up. And I have a blender and I have a juicer. Trust me, the juicer is a pain in the butt to clean. A blender is a lot easier. So once a day, 7 days a week, add one of these drinks. Okay, and again, this gets to that point I made earlier. Eat first for health, then for taste. This might not taste great, okay, but it's going to be incredibly healthy for you, and you're going to feel a lot better. Week 2, after you've been doing this, then eliminate, let's say, soft drinks, okay? Eliminate soft drinks. You can still have water, you can still have juices, you can still drink your beer if you guys are beer drinkers, but just eliminate soft drinks. So in 2 weeks, we've added this, and we've eliminated that. Your body is going to start feeling better. Week 3, focus on continuing on these things, but now you're adding protein to each meal. Protein powders are fine. It's a great, you can add 25 grams of protein with most powders just by having 1 scoop. Okay. Now remember, you don't have to follow the instructions on the container that says, add 2 scoops 3 times a day. Well, that's 50 grams of protein in most cases, 3 times a day. Your body can't even assimilate that. But what's going to happen is you're going to go through your protein powder faster, and you're going to have to buy more, which makes the company richer. So add moderate amounts of protein to each meal. Okay. And then in week 4, that's when you really start customizing everything to your goals, all right? Because now you've done these 3 things. Now you're going to start thinking about meal prepping. which means, and basically you can take 6 Tupperware bowls per day and make sure that you are preparing your meals ahead of time and you have the same amount of calories per bowl. So if we think back to that previous slide where I said 3,000 calories a day is 500 per meal, well, that means each bowl you would fill up with 500 calories worth of stuff, whether it's a chicken breast and some green beans, maybe it's, chicken breast and some potatoes and green beans, maybe it's a fillet of some sort of fish, your favorite fish, maybe it's a ground beef patty and some, even some brown beans or anything like that. So remember, 500 calories per bowl, you make 6 bowls and you're good to go. All right? It takes about a week of doing this practice, okay? Your first couple days don't have to be perfect. Just remember to write down somewhere how much calories 3 eggs have. Okay, 3 eggs are going to be approximately 180 calories. A couple tablespoons of peanut butter is going to be 190 calories. So you will start to remember this as you create these plans for yourself. So that's enough diet stuff. Let's talk about portable equipment, because when you're living in and out of hotels, or when you're working 12 hours a day and you come home, we don't have time to go to the gym. Okay, so I want you to consider buying chest expanders. Okay, the name is called chest expander, but trust me, you can work every muscle in the body with these things once you know how to do the exercises and you follow the exercise charts. I recommend the Lifeline, because the Lifeline kit, I bought this kit here, it cost $100, and now I don't have to swap out handles. I'm not changing things anymore. I've got the light ones over here, the heavy ones over here. Okay, and trust me, you're not gonna. I bet there's 1% of you on the planet that can work with these heavier tension chest expanders. Okay, I'm a fairly strong individual for 200 pounds, and this is the one I use on a daily basis. And because what I do is I use the stretch and hold method with chest expanders. Okay, it builds true monkey strength, I guess is one way to look at it, and it's awesome. If you do a YouTube search for Matt Fury chest expander videos, you will see how he does it, and he's phenomenal at this. Second thing I would recommend you guys get is a TRX home trainer. Okay, so these straps right here can either be tied to a pole high up if you're at a gym, or there's a little rubber ball at the end of these things and you put them in the doorway, either a bedroom door or your hallway door, closet door, it doesn't matter, and it suspends your feet. Okay, this way this person is working their upper body, chest, tricep, and delts. If they were to turn over, lay down on their back, grab the handles, and pull themselves up, now they're doing back rows, pull-up type of maneuver. So you can work all your pushing, all your pulling movements, stability because of the way your body kind of shakes in the lower back and the abdominal area. So this is a phenomenal piece of equipment. Trust me, I use these. I've purchased these. I'm not getting any money for recommending these products in this thing. Now I'm going to mention Matt Fury again. He's not paying me either. I just believe in everything and I use everything that I'm recommending to you. Get this book, Combat Conditioning by Matt Fury. That's where you're going to learn about neck bridges. That's where you're going to learn about Hindu squats, Hindu push-ups, and all the body weight exercises you can do. Okay? If you use all these things and you build them into a 20-minute workout, that's all you're going to need. If you don't have any of this equipment, okay? But for 20 minutes, you do something like this. You do 20 minutes of jogging in place. Excuse me, you do 1 minute, okay? 1 minute of jogging in place. Then you do another minute of crunches. A third minute, you're going to do push-ups. The fourth minute, you're going to do a minute's worth of burpees. For any of you who've done burpees, you know that's a heck of a workout. And then you do that cycle 5 more times. Well, 5 times 4 minutes is 20 minutes. You will be smoked. Trust me. So in conclusion, develop a can-do mindset. All right, stop focusing on and explaining to people why you can't do this or you can't afford that. It doesn't matter. I want you guys to be honest and ask yourself, what can I do in my current location with my current budget? And then start doing it. All right, remember to think small and consistent changes, not drastic, painful ones. You don't have to go buy the insanity workout and bust your ass for an hour and a half. Okay, that's going to be painful. The next day you're going to be sore, and unfortunately most people, when they're sore, their brain tells them, I'm not doing this anymore. So that being said, I want you guys to stay safe, get healthy, get fit. My name is Brian Allen for International Security Training.